calm, right? And there's all these people standing in this huge line for this licensing office, and they're all just like I turn around and I look at them and I'm like, yeah, it's my fault that he can't find the store, and they all started laughing.
Yeah.
And I was just like, honestly, like, he's like, there's no signs out on the road anywhere, and it's like, well, what stores have signs on the road? What are you talking about? Like, are we supposed to lay out a fucking map because you're a dumbass and need to return your Amazon product? Like, that's not my fucking problem. Figure it out, man.
Yeah, right. I mean, Jesus.
If you don't know, you phone the store and you say, look, hey, I can't find your store. Where are you guys? Oh, we're right facing this road. Oh, okay.
Or say, excuse me, I hate to bother you, but is your store around? I can't find your store. You know,
yeah. Do you know
at
how
least
many people...
courteous.
Do you know how many people ask me that question every single day?
Oh, boy.
Every day. It's hard to find, and I understand. I tell them, I'm like, oh, yeah, it's tricky. It's like, it's actually facing this road. So the road they turn in off of, like, you can't see it from that road that you turn in from, and there's also other roads you come in from that you wouldn't see it either. And I was like, yeah, I can understand. And I just explained, I'm like, look, you know where RBC is? It's a bank. I was like, it's right behind that bank. Go on the opposite side of that bank, and you'll find it. And they're like, oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't check over there yet, or whatever. I've had people in the wrong plaza. I've been in the plaza across the road, and they're like, where's your store? And I'm like, you're not even in the right plaza. Like, have you ever used Google Maps? Like, what are you doing? Like, they don't make life very difficult these days for people. Like, you know, it's pretty easy to find your way around if you don't know where you're going.
You know, when I was building my house, that was when, and I needed to get deliveries of different products or whatever it might be, and I had to give them, you know, a garage that's like a mechanical, an auto garage that's at the end of my street, right directly across from it, and it's pretty much a staple of the area. So that's what I would do, and then say right across the street from there, because it was too new. They couldn't find it on any satellite server, you know, MapQuest, nothing like that. So just too new. However, there's no excuse for places that exist. I mean, I will literally plot myself down. I'll use Google Earth, and I will plot myself down on the fucking street and to see what it is that I'm looking at when it, you know, where I'm going.
Get a visual on it.
Yep.
Oh, that's what it looks like. Okay, perfect. Now I know when I should get there, it's going to look like this.
Yep. Can learn a lot from a dummy. Me being the dummy. I'm going to go grab a pen. I'll be right back.
Yeah. All right, they're starting.
All right.
Yeah, they're starting. I'm just going to fire up the stream.
Okay.
Alright, welcome everyone. We're live. It's Zenith Online Racing. Back for round 3 of Tier 1. We are in Imola. For the, I guess, the Italian Grand Prix, technically. I don't know what we would call it.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not too sure either. It looks like Packer went out for dinner and forgot he was supposed to be racing. You're fired, Packer. You're fired. So we could have actually had a reserve driver. I don't know if he's going to make it for the end of quali, though. I doubt it. I guess he's done.
Damn.
So that means he's out for the night. Well, it's good for everybody else, but it's not,
Right.
not good for us with our 14 cars. It's a little sad. Third race of the season, and we're still trudging along with not a full grid here, so we got out there.
Maybe it's not too late to get sharpshooter in here.
Yeah, I suppose we could.
But that would be up to you.
I'm gonna do that. I'm at dinner. I don't know what that means.
Who's the first one out there?
Can you send an invite to Sharpshooter? I don't know if I can.
I guess I could try.
Oh, actually, I think you can do it through the game, through the like PlayStation menu instead of the game itself.
Let's see.
Invite to join a social play race. Let me see if I can. I think I can actually. Yeah.
Alright, I'm riding along with Quaminator. I think he's the first one out on his hot lap. New to Tier 1. He was in Tier 3 last season.
Yeah, Quaminator is on a flyer, so stick with Quaminator. I was following him on the outlap. I was sorting out, trying to get somebody in.
Pretty smooth, a little hesitant, I think, on the way out of that last turn.
There we go, Sharpshooter's in.
Cool. And, ooh, we went a little deep on that, and then a little squirrely coming out of it. I think you can pretty much go right over the curbing on that one. At least on the first one, the right-hander. Ooh, close to invalidating there. And, of course, he's got the fastest time. Who's next? Here comes Beck. 117.7.
Oh, the stream team's here. As I suspected, I haven't been paying attention. Damn, is it bright or what? Like, the sun coming off these cars, it's like this Mercedes looks like it's glowing.
Wow, Brian with a 116.1.
Yeah, he is on another level at the moment. Let's check in with Puff Digital. Puff Digital was running some practice before this. Impressive.
Oh.
Checking with Adri. Adri's just wrapping up his lap. Saying the Red Bulls look strong. Who said that? Ted? Ted's notebook? Ed's notebook? Adri splits the group up, so tucked in behind Brian, ahead of the other guys that are all very close to one another. And we'll check in with Say. I don't suspect Say's qualifying pace will be too great till later in the season. He's still working on that one lap outright pace, but he seems to have figured out the racing, controlling the car and keeping it steady. And he's had a few spins here and there, but he's actually got some good results so far.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to finish the race, so you got to be careful during the race. It's too easy to spin right here.
What happened with Asylum? Did he crash out?
I don't know. I didn't see. Yeah, that was a lot better going through there.
That's unfortunate because what's going to do is Sharpshooter's actually going to end up starting ahead of Asylum now, I think.
Well, Sharpshooter is, yeah, he's in the pits.
He is part of Asylum's little team there, so maybe he'll let him go just for purposes. Just to start anyway, and then obviously they'll race after that.
Say up to P2.
Man, that was a nice lap. He was listening. He was not thrilled about what I said.
It looks like he's figured out how to get that one good lap.
Yeah. He's been sweating. Ginning out there, running a few, just getting some race laps in. I don't think he's looking to, he's not going to be looking to actually qualify on this tire. I keep forgetting you don't have to start on those tires anymore.
Yeah. It is. I'm sure we'll begin to remember at some point.
Yeah. So we've got Sam now on a flyer, it looks like. Right with Sam. A little bit late starting his flying lap. Everybody else has got one on the board. Not sure if Sam had an issue and went back in the pits, or if he just kind of took his time getting set up here. Maybe just wanted to get the traffic cleared. Yeah, Sharpshooter, you can do an out lap and then just go in the pits just to make sure. Just make sure that your setup is installed. So, we kind of let people do that just for.
Oh, Sam went wide and did not. Ooh. Did not invalidate, but this is not going to be a keeper.
Yeah, Sharpshooter, it's a courtesy thing, like out laps are allowed, just make sure you go in the box after. It's just to make sure that your setup actually gets installed because of the Parc Ferme, in case anything happens during the race session and for some reason you can't select it. Something we've always allowed. I mean, in theory, you could practice as long as you don't actually set times. You can actually push a bit, but just make sure you don't get in anyone's way and don't actually cross the line.
So, okay, only Rockstar left without a time other than Sharpshooter.
So Plominator is on his second hot lap now. I'm going to bring up the telemetry. I had it off. It's something I usually do have on in qualifying just because it helps us know if they're actually on a flyer or not with the battery usage. It looks like Beck is. Whoa! Who was that parked on the racing line? I mean, not into the braking zone, but Beck, we definitely had to take evasive action there. That was not great. It would have thrown me off if I was on a hot lap, to say that. I don't think he was technically blocked, but it definitely would have been like, hey, come on, like way on that side of the track in that place.
Ooh, alright, Quaminator saved that. Last two turns coming up.
I didn't realize Quaminator was that further up the road. He wasn't using his battery, that's why I left him actually. His battery is not going down. I don't know if he's pushing. Beck is pushing though. He's got traffic up ahead again. Another car. GP's got company.
Sorry.
No, that's alright. Can't teach dogs not to bark. That's what dogs do.
Oh, it's our doorbell. They're our doorbell.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll mute it.
Alright. The Symphony Barkestra been muted. I've been waiting to use that line for a long time.
They're barking. My wife just walked in the house. That's, they go crazy when we come home.
Yeah. That's like, oh shit, you're home! Oh my god! Like the greatest thing ever.
Yeah. I can't believe Beck did not invalidate going around the corner. We had all four tires almost in the sand.
Looks like Vinny put another hot lap on the board here. He did improve his time, but it did not get him any positions. Sharpshooter stuck down the bottom, obviously. He can't qualify. Rockstar has not done a flyer yet. He is starting his flyer now. Do we have Puff out on track? Puff is pushing. He's up 3/10, so that would put him, well, put him up to P4 at the minimum. Possibly get up to Adri if he can get a little more time here.
Beck spun coming out of the last turn. Oh man,
that's not a great place to spin. Puff getting it sorted, and Joshua drops again. It's been a theme of the season. So Puff lost some time in that final sector. He's actually dropped down to P6 there. Brian Scott improves his time. He is now on pole, 16 flat. So it looks like Say and Adri, the real threats for pole position here to Brian. Brian at the moment looks like he's going to be able to... He's probably going to be able to put this on pole today. It looks like he seems to have that extra time in the bag. It's just a matter of if he can convert that to the victory. I'm sure after last week, he's robbed of the one-shot quali pole position. Oh, and there goes Adri out of nowhere. Adri on pole by 9 thousandths.
Wow.
That is close.
Here comes Vinny Clips. Nope, he's boxing. Okay.
And if you remember last week, these two had a hell of a battle, Brian and Adri, so we could see a really, really good race out front here. Who else do we have? Sam?
Alright, I'm going to ride on board with Janet here. He's getting ready to start his hot lap.
Nope, Sam runs really deep there. Sam's struggling in that second sector. He's gone off in the same corner again, so it's not looking great for Sam at the moment. Janet is up a second on his previous run. That's going to put him right in front of Say.
I think that wasn't accurate. Popped up after he said his after he went around on his outlap.
Yeah, and it says he's only up a 10th and a half right now, which that's not great. Like Janet, I'm surprised is not a little further up the field here.
Yeah, that first chicane at the end of the first chicane at the end of the front straight there, he kind of he didn't hit it the way I think he would like to have. Let's put it that way. And now he's up a second and a quarter. Stay in there.
He's up a second and a quarter. That will put him right in the mix for pole. That is just a clumsy chicane, though. I was going to say, he looked a little clumsy through there, but I think it's just the nature of that corner.
Oh, that was nice.
Yeah, he got on the throttle nice and early here. This could be provisional pole for Janet, and it is.
Wow.
15.9. That's a nice lap. Nice lap for Janet. He'll be thrilled with that. Got his little practice runs in, and now he's figured it out, found the time. And he said he missed some time in that first sector as well, so there's definitely room for improvement there.
Oh, nice. Culminated. Really took that tricky double double right-hander pretty well.
He still has no battery on, though. What is he doing with that?
I don't know. And he can really, maybe his setup really doesn't allow him to go over the curbing over there, because he seems to avoid it where most other guys are going right over it. Oh, invalidation.
Yeah,
okay.
He has not been using the battery, and I don't know if that's intentional or if he's having an issue with it, or I'm not too sure what's going on there. But RC I think got a new wheel. I'm not sure if he's on it today. Not sure if he would have had the time to get it all set up, but at the same time, I don't know why you wouldn't. You're upgrading
a new toy.
See. Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's a fair bit off the pace here. I mean, two positions up, he's 4/10 down, so that's a fair margin. 16.8, so that's a little bit more in the mix. Right in behind Puff. So it looks like everybody going to be on their out laps now. Most guys should be leaving the pit short. Oh, there goes RC into the wall. Oh, and then tires off. RC out. Yeah, you got way too happy on the throttle there. And once you go off there, you're... Oh, Jinnet's out too. Is Jinnet in the pits? Or did he also crash?
He's in the pits. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess he just didn't have time to
Get
go
out of the
out.
way. Oh, good. Sam's on his hot lap, and somebody just got out of his way, thankfully.
Sam blocked somebody in the first race, so it would be, as Fernando would say, karma, if it happened to Sam. But obviously we don't want to see that. We prefer everybody get a proper run in.
Oh,
he runs wide
damn.
again. He's really struggling with the track limits. He's got this corner right this time, though. He looks a lot better. It's unfortunate the lap isn't going to count, though. Vinny has a lot of work to do as well. He's tucked right at the back, 18 flat. Him and Sam are struggling here. We got Beck on a flyer up the front, it looks like. Not sure if he's just ahead of Vinny here. Let's check in with Beck. He is just ahead, but he's backed out. So it looks like Beck is not going to improve. Vinny smooth on the throttle. I think this is going to improve his time, but is it going to be enough? No, 17.8, so still a lot of work to do for Vinny. I don't think he's going to have time for another proper run, so he looks like he's done. Rockstar just getting warmed up. Joshua on his flyer. His final run.
He was 100th up. So now he's 400th.
Yeah, it looks like most of the top 5 or 6 guys are out currently on a run, so I'm trying to figure out who is behind Joshua. It's a Mercedes. That would probably be Zem on an outlap, I would think. Then we got Puff a little further behind. Williams.
And Josh up to P7.
So that's Zamoglis just starting his final flying lap. Plenty of time. Stay making his way through Sector 2. He's got traffic ahead of him. Really, really smooth on the throttle. Say he's really figuring out the no assist here. He's looking really solid. He seems to be perfect on the throttle on the exits. Like he's really got the traction control figured out, it seems. Or the lack of traction control.
Right. So we got Zem is...
The Puff is done. Say improves. Say up to P4.
Oh, wait.
Getting a lot of lag right now.
Zem is up 1600s. That'd move him. That won't move him up. Really needs to nail this.
Why I'm getting so much lag at the moment?
Well done through there. Hey, he did make up.
Yeah,
Just
a
over
lot of time, but not much. No positions gained. And Brian looks like he's backed out of it. Your dog's all right.
Yeah, that you can still hear them.
Oh yeah, they're going to town.
Geez, I can't hear them.
Yeah, I think your mic picks up a lot. Because sometimes I hear myself yelling. Sometimes when I yell, it like comes through your headphones and I can hear it in the mics.
Oh boy.
On my end. It's wild. But yeah, no, it's better now. It might just have like a large like pickup range.
Perhaps, yeah.
That makes sense. Like it picks up a lot of like surrounding volume as well as direct volume.
So I guess there shouldn't be any issues hearing me.
No, definitely not. No, you sound fine.
Alright, so do we have anybody
your
left?
Dogs are quiet now, so.
Yeah, I think they've settled. The wife is in. They know she's not going anywhere. Guess that's it, right? I mean, nobody left. That's quality.
Yes, sir.
Jinnit, first pole of the season, I believe.
Yeah, that's pole position for Jin, and he's got Adri and Brian right up behind him, and pace-wise, like, it's going to be a very close race at the front there.
Yeah, boy oh boy. A lot of fast wheels up there.
Yeah, Seiya really is also an issue. I would think the consistency will probably hurt him, but he's also right there on pace. He's actually just behind Brian. Okay.
So, through P11, less than a second separates 1 through 11. Then there's a big drop off to Sam and Vinny.
Yeah, so Jinnit takes pole, Adri second, Brian third, Seiya will take fourth, Beck is fifth, Zem sixth, Puff seventh, Joshua eighth, ninth for Rockstar, 10th for RC, Quaminator 11th, Sam 12th, Vinny 13th, Sharpshooter 14th. He'll be no quality lap, and then Asylum at the very back. So yeah, that is the order. The people believe in you, say. Maybe the three guys at the front collide, and you just kind of scamper off out front, and you got a nice little calm race alone out front.
Anybody notify you about whether it was wet or dry race?
No, I did not see any.
No.
I'd assume we would have heard a lot of people crying if it was wet.
All right, so we had Jinnit, Brian, and Adri for top three starting positions. Adri.
Should be good for... Doesn't look like anyone's readied yet.
Yeah, thank God. And it's nice that there were no issues getting everybody into the lobby as well. Like
yeah, that was a very bizarre issue on Thursday. It was very frustrating.
Yeah, so Tier 3 has had their bye week. The first one, anyways.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess you could just kind of look at it as like this last week was their bye week, because a lot of the guys just dropped out and didn't race, right? So.
Right, yeah. Yeah, and I get it. You know,
I get it too. It's kind of like putting that amount of effort in for no result.
Just the frustration alone is like enough to make you want to leave.
It was extremely frustrating. Like I just got home from work and spent like close to an hour trying to get everything sorted, and just for it to not work anyway. It was extremely infuriating.
No, but you made the right decision. I mean, nobody wanted to not race. However, it was best to just end it right there before we, we could have just kept getting more and more frustrated.
I agree. It looks like we are ready to go. We're going to get right into the racing here. No formation lap still. We haven't seen a fix for that, so we will get on the grid and we will have lights out and go racing in Imola. 32 laps. Strategy going to be really important here, I feel. There goes 3, 4, 5 lights are on. And we are racing in Italy. Looks like a really good start for Jinnit. I just want to try and stay at the front here. We got 3 wide into turn 1. Oh, someone way off the track. We got
Mercedes,
my goodness.
Back.
All kinds of chaos back there. There was like 3 or 4 cars that went around. And it looks like a lot of guys have had a bad start. I saw a lot of carbon fiber flying off as well. Joshua up to P4 on the start there.
Beck is done.
Beck lost it already, eh? And that's a safety car? VSC. Can you see any of the boards anywhere yet? I haven't seen them.
No.
It is VSC, I believe. Yeah, we would see the safety car on track by now if it was out. So
And
VSC to start. Joshua got a really good start though. He's up quite a few places on the.
Yeah, he started on the softs. Surprising.
Yeah, and really good launch. So he's up 4 spots. Sam up 5. Quaminator up 3. Vinny up 4. Puff down 3. Guess he was caught up in that melee there. Nobody stopped yet, but I'm guessing someone around the back's going to have to pit because I did see some wing fly off. That looks like, is that Puff actually with no front wing?
RC has no front wing.
Yeah, Puff has no front wing either.
No.
He's got no wing, and neither does RC. That is going to be
Both Red
chaos
Bulls.
in the Red Bull pit lane. Very
And
bad.
we're back to racing.
And we are back to racing. So, not a great start. Pretty clumsy stuff into turn 1 there. Sure a lot of guys are feeling really frustrated with that. And they're going to be hoping for a full-blown safety car here to try and bring them back in the mix because they are going to be miles behind at this stage.
And it can happen here. Safety cars. However, we are running reduced
Yeah.
safety cars. So, but yeah, this is one of those tracks where the walls aren't too far away. You get enough speed, you can really, bring up the safety car with a crash for sure.
And we definitely saw, yeah, interesting.
Yep, Puff and Quaminator onto the hards. So, interesting.
Quaminator started on hards.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah. Because he hasn't stopped. Puff and RC and Vinny are the only guys that have pit. And RC went softs, interestingly. Which is probably not a bad play because you're at this point you're nice ruined unless you're getting a safety car. So, did RC pick up a penalty already as well? What on earth happened there?
And he's also completed his obligation for the 2 tires compound.
Yeah.
So
yeah. RC, sorry, Rockstar I meant to say has had some kind of issue back there. He's going around. But yeah, so far we got Adri and Janet are the guys out front, and then we've got Zem and Seye and Sam all putting some pressure on Joshua. So Joshua's pace-wise a little out of position at the moment. He's up a lot from his qualifying place, and you can see now he's got a little bit of a queue forming behind him. I'd imagine Brian just kind of going to sit back and let Adri and Janet waste their tires. Brian's probably in a good spot to... He probably wants to get away from Joshua, but not press too hard and burn up his tires just to get stuck behind the other 2. Who's that at the back? That's a full safety car.
I can't see. Oh, is that?
Is it Vinny?
I think it is.
I think
it is Vinny. It's Vinny.
Are we full safety car now? No.
He's okay. Yeah, he's back on track now.
It's a lot of debris there. I was going to say, so it looks like VSC again. I wonder if anyone at the front would consider pitting under this VSC.
Yeah, Vinny is completely...
Did Joshua get a really cheap pit stop here? I don't know how long those softs are going to last. Well, the safety car fans are out in full force. No safety car yet. Not yet.
Yeah, I can't see
Just
any of the...
virtual one.
Can't see the lights on the track. Oh, VSC, yep. And
Joshua does not pit, so I would imagine everyone else stays out as well. See, this VSC stuff hurts guys like Puff and RC that kind of need a break right now. The good news for them is Rockstar had an issue ahead of them, and he's only 1 spot out of the points. So points are on, the potential for points is there for those guys that are on the back. They just got to hang in there and hope that some guys drop out of the race. So Moglis putting some pressure on Joshua here. We are back to green, and DRS is now active, so should see a little bit of movement with some of these guys stuck in little groups. And Adri has started to really fall off from Janet. Now Janet's just putting the hammer down and scampering off.
Yeah, Brian, something must have happened to Adri because, Brian is now only just over half a second behind.
Yeah.
Maybe Adri decided he needed to cool off his tires a little bit. Maybe he was pushing a little too hard. I mean, really, at this point, you really don't necessarily have to be pushing. At particular. Oh, and he went around. Adri just spun coming out of turn, whatever, the last turn.
Oh, yeah. That is not a great place for his spin.
Thank God he ghosted.
Yeah, I think he knew he was ghosted. He wouldn't have tried that otherwise. But yeah, that puts Adri in a really bad spot. He's gonna have to cool those tires down. Here comes Smoglis with that DRS down the inside on Joshua. Sweeps across to take the racing line and gets it done. Very aggressive there from Zem. I think he's compromised his exit. It looks like Joshua might have a good run back at him here, but not enough room to close. Get that chopper cam in and see Say and Sam trailing behind. So Sam, with a miserable qualifying, is actually having a pretty solid race so far.
Well, yeah, like I said, well, and you mentioned it too when you were talking about Say. You know, he couldn't find, he's not quite there yet with being able to put a solid lap. However, race pace is there.
Tonight, though.
Yes, he did.
Yeah,
but apparently
Sam right at the front. So
Sam is obviously doing well enough, keeping his laps consistent and staying out of trouble.
Yeah. So now we're gonna have Say trying to get by Joshua. So are the softs falling off, or is this Joshua's pace just kind of starting to show a little bit with the DRS?
I would think that his tires are probably starting to fall off.
Yeah, I mean, Josh has good race pace. He always has. But generally, I mean, if you look at his quality lap versus everyone else, he was a fair margin off. He had a lot of ground to make up, so. Sharpshooter as well has actually had a really good start. He started right at the back, and he's up to P7 now, so.
Yeah, I'm going to check out the position change.
I also reminded him to just make sure he doesn't do anything too dicey racing with the other guys, because picking up penalty points while you're reserving isn't really good for your actual tier.
Yeah.
Quaminator's had an issue, I think. He's gone around. Oh, no. Yes, it is Quaminator, yep.
Yeah, so thus far, Sharpshooter up 7, and then Sam and Asylum each up 6.
That's a really good start for those guys. Chopper cam is phenomenal. It's the best view if you're broadcasting.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had terrible views on track here.
Yeah.
For some reason.
So it looks like Joshua and Say still hanging on to Zamoglis. Zamoglis really hasn't scampered off like I thought he would. Maybe it's been an issue or something. Who's had an issue there? Is it Sharpshooter? Yeah, it looks like.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he must have had some kind of little half spin because he's lost a lot of time.
Yeah, so the closest battle continues to be up there for P4, 5.
Yeah, it's been a really good scrap amongst these guys so far. Right now, it's Jinnet's race to lose. He's got Brian. I guess with Adri out of the picture, Brian seems to be taking chunks out of Jinnet. I wonder if he sat back and preserved his tires, and he's now up a little. He's really taking time out.
Yeah, I think Jinnet and Brian, I think that those two should really be managing their tires right now. They got a almost 4-second lead over Zamoglis. So, really, I mean, I don't know how close they are to being able to go take these mediums to jump onto the softs. But with this, the way things are going right now, I would certainly be thinking about it. If it's close, you know, it's not too hard to save your tires.
Yeah, absolutely. Say just starting to lose a little bit of grip, and he's just fallen out of Joshua's DRS range. And Joshua does have DRS actually on Zamoglis, so that's helping him close a bit. But Zamoglis' straight line speed looking pretty solid because Joshua really didn't make up as much time as he would have hoped.
So no close battles now. Everything is over a second. Field's really starting to spread out.
Yeah, I think our next heavyweight fight's going to be Brian versus Jinnet, and really like something to consider here is the undercut. Brian is really in range for an undercut here. I think he'd come out in front of Rockstar, which would give him clear air, and he could undercut Jinnet with one good lap on fresh tires. So that's going to be something Jinnet and Brian are needing to think about as the pit window approaches. Hopefully we get the AWS tire graphic and it can tell us when the pit window's open, because I don't know what the actual target lap would be. I would imagine
Yeah, I
you
don't
probably
either.
want to go 14 on the medium, 12 to 14, and then hards the rest of the way.
Well, we're going to find out, won't we?
Yeah, we will. I don't know how far these mediums can go.
I
Can
don't
they go
either.
20 laps, and then you maybe do softs to the end? Because Joshua's got an 8 on the softs, and he's starting to fall off now.
And say he's now within DRS. Easily within striking distance here. And closing fast. Yeah, Josh must be really struggling now.
Yeah, I think those tires have seen better days. If you're gonna go to the hards, you gotta wonder what kind of position he's left himself in if he has to go hards to the end now, because everybody else is probably gonna do the same. And they've got better tires right now. So we'll see how it pans out. Joshua usually pretty solid with the strategy choices, so we'll see how that works out for him. But he's also brought Sam and
Josh went wide, and Say's got him.
Say's through, and now Sam is a serious threat. So you got to think those softs are starting to fall off. You do see there's a little bit of graining you can see on the front left for Joshua. It's hard to tell though.
Yeah, I'm on board. Yeah, it is kind of hard to tell. And he's going around again.
You got to think, though, if he was going to pit this early, why wouldn't he have done it during the VSC? Here comes Sam, absolutely flying. Sam with that DRS. Joshua can't do a thing to defend that. So Sam's through. Sam into the top 5 now after a rough qualifying. That's really good for him. I'm sure he's going to be thrilled with that. Joshua now, it's just kind of damage control time. I think he's lost out his battle at the front. Seye now, can Seye gap Sam to the point where he can drop him and kind of work on just finding himself a nice little cushion to settle into.
Yeah, Josh, definitely. Josh, Puff, and Vinny Clips, they need a safety car. Rockstar. They're all begging and pleading.
Vinny's just nowhere right now. Like, he's 54 seconds behind RC. He's close to being lapped by RC himself.
Yeah,
so that's not a great night so far.
And let's see, I think. Oops.
It's possible Sam went all in on the race setup, but I personally, for myself, like from my own experience, I was never great at qualifying, especially at tracks I didn't know very well. I didn't know how to push and find the right time. Sam had a lot of invalidations and ran wide on a couple turns. I think that's what's hurt him the most, but sometimes when you get onto the track and you're racing and you've got another car to follow, you can kind of figure it out a little easier. I don't know how to explain it really, but it's almost like you just kind of follow the guy in front and you can race well without actually knowing the track well.
Yeah.
You can just kind of follow the braking points and,
So I just looked at Vinny Clips, and he has stopped twice. That's really what, has put him so far back.
I wonder if he did run into that barrier again, so he probably had some extra damage he had to fix again. We got Adri.
Adri's made his way
on, yeah.
He had that spin coming out of
now.
Yeah. Oh, and he's gone around.
He's gone around again.
Oh.
He did well to save that from hitting the wall, though. I thought he was going to be out. He sorted the car out nicely on the grass there. There's not a lot of room between the grass and the barrier there.
No.
So he's lucky he got that sorted, but it's really...
And he's funny. Yeah, he's got to be very careful here. And he's got to keep from getting too frustrated.
Yeah. It's tough once you do it twice. It gets really, really miserable trying to get it sorted.
So, Asylum, the only Ferrari in the field tonight, up to P7.
Joshua has pit to the hards. Again, if you're going to do that anyway, you should have taken that VSC, I think. The softs, starting on the softs just didn't pay off. I wonder if he was hoping that there'd be a full safety car and he'd get away with a cheap change or something, but
Perhaps.
It's really, he's put himself in a rough spot here. He's going to get passed by Rockstar as well, which is not going to help.
You don't want to really plan your race around a hopeful safety car.
Yeah.
However, I mean, guys will take chances, strategic chances, so I get it. And
yeah,
unfortunately,
absolutely.
It doesn't pan out a lot of the times.
I think if you're in a situation where Joshua's struggling to get those tires up to grip, Quaminator's about to go through as well. He does get by, so Joshua now down to P11.
Yeah, the hards, I think, take over a lap, almost 2 laps to get up to temp.
Yeah, it's rough. I would say it's rough.
Damn Sam is boxing, getting off the mediums.
So that's interesting, right? So the guy on mediums is pitting this at this stage. So so Joshua didn't really lose a whole lot by starting on softs, but what I think he did lose is performance. He lost a lot of pace in the final few chunks of that stint, and that's going to hurt him, I think, later in the race.
Yeah, he's down in P11 right now.
Now he's got traffic to deal with. I think this is the time, I think, where Brian is now thinking undercut. Jinnit, I know, probably listens to the stream. I'm sure he'll probably be thinking he should cover that off. Let's do some math here.
Yeah, you do math. I'll watch racing.
20. I think if Jinnit and Brian pit, they come out in front of Adri. That gives them a good window to slot into. They'll be far enough behind Asylum that they won't get held up, because all the guys in front of them will.
Brian's boxing.
Okay, there it is. So you probably thought, if Jinnit goes in, I'll stay out.
And so is Zem.
So Brian and Zem pit.
This
is really important. Say's pit as well. This is Sharpshooter stays out. Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't have anything to lose. He's reserving.
True.
Asylum stays out as well. And then Adri. So where are we going to see these guys come out? Brian is going to come out. Surely Brian comes out ahead of Adri. Shouldn't be much of a contest there. Brian, well ahead. Zamoglis. Say will be behind Adri. That's going to be problematic. But Adri likely needs to pit as well soon. So now we go to Jinnit.
Yes.
Let's ride on board with Jinnit. We're going to ride on board with Jinnit. We're going to bring up his telemetry. Let's see what kind of lap times he's pumping in here. He is using that battery, and he is absolutely pushing. So let's see what he has to pit here, right? He has to cover this.
I would think so, yeah.
He might be able to stay out an extra lap, because those hards, like you said, do take some time to get warmed up. And I don't think that the guys that just pit are going to have undercut pace at this stage. But it's got to be something Jinnit's considering. I think he should just go in and cover it. No, he stayed out. That is probably going to hurt him. I think that's going to end up hurting him. It really depends on how Brian's faring here. Brian is pushing. He knows this is it. This is his best chance.
And he really doesn't have anybody in front of him. Asylum is nearly 7 seconds ahead of him, so he's got clear air.
Yeah, this is it for Brian. I think he is gaining on Asylum. Let's check the gap to the leader. Do we know the pit delta here?
That's what I was going to check right now. So, yeah, Brian's 28. No, I don't. 28 and a half seconds roughly for Brian to the leader.
Yeah, and he came out, 4 seconds ahead of Adri, who was... it's going to be tight. But he's really gaining on Jinnit. So this is it for Jinnit. He kind of has to pit now. If he doesn't pit this lap, I think he's throwing away the win here.
Oh, big time. I mean, he lost nearly half a second in that that one sector, middle sector.
And the tires don't look good right now. They do look a little harsh. So I think this is it for Jinnit. He's got to do this.
He's staying out.
He stayed out? Oh, that is very bold, man.
Pulling a GP.
I don't think that's the move. I think he's just throwing away first place.
Well, was it last season or the season before? I pulled off a one-stop and won the race. So it is possible. I don't know if this game would allow it. But it's certainly, I mean, it appears to me though that a lot of the guys going to the hards, that's telling me that it's a one stop, but not the conventional one that I used, which was, I believe I went soft to medium.
That's Jinnit. I mean, Brian's the fastest man on the track right now, and Jinnit is the only guy ahead. It's Brian in clear air now, and he's got those tires warmed up. Like, here's the other thing. Like, even if Jinnit comes out just in front of Brian, he has got to warm the tires up. I think he's lost it. So now, does Jinnit consider? What's the move now? Do you consider running longer and go to the soft tire? So that you can get back in front? Like, is that viable? Yeah, I think he has to, right? That's
I think
his only
so.
Option. I think at this stage he's lost track position.
And he's losing close to a second plus per lap.
This is going to be tight. I'm actually really fascinated by this little strategy battle here, because I think now Jinnit needs to consider, and he's gone by the pits again, so he's definitely going for that soft tire at the end.
Yeah, and he's got to make sure. I was going to say he's got to make sure that he has enough laps to reel Brian back in.
Absolutely. Brian's going to get a little DRS help here, I think, in a second.
So not too bad for Jinnit this lap, because he's maintained pretty much the same time. Where he loses the time is in this sector here. A couple tricky turns.
We've lost a car in the barrier there. I don't know if he's out, but it looks like, is it RC?
It's RC or Puff.
Yeah, it looks like it was a Red Bull. I think it's RC, because he seems to be losing the delta there. Oh, maybe not.
Yeah, so Jinnit loses half a second going through that sector too.
So here's another thing to consider. Is there a chance Demoglis and Adri now get in front of Jinnit if he stays out so long? Because he has to go quite a while. Like, he's going to have to go at least 4 more laps before he can consider those softs to the end.
I would think so. I don't know how good he is at preserving his tires. Obviously, he's doing quite well here with these mediums, but yeah, I would think that I would personally probably try to get it to lap 22, give myself 10 laps on the softs if I could.
Yeah. We got spot up triples in the chat. I don't know whose strategy wins, but this has made it far more interesting. I definitely agree with you.
Yep.
We don't have a lot of wheel-to-wheel action at the moment, but that is spiced up the front battle for sure.
Absolutely.
So Joshua getting passed by Sharpshooter. Remember, Sharpshooter won't count in the standings, so actually Asylum is in the points right now.
I can't get away from following Jinnit. Older tires, I just hope that he doesn't, spin.
Yeah,
like to see,
that's the thing.
I'd like to see him, go ahead and run this strategy through, see how it works out for him. So he's staying up.
And I mean, if he gets a safety car at this stage, he's laughing. Like, that's an easy win now, right? So
yeah. Well, I would think
softs on.
I would think everybody else would probably box as well and put the softs on.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Brian he's taking chunks out of Jinnit, but he's really not erasing that deficit like he should be. You got Sam looking to make a move here on Rockstar, so Rockstar's been running very long on those mediums, pulling the Jinnit strat, trying to get deep into the race on the medium. Same with Adri, his finally pit onto the softs, I presume he's head in, and so is Rockstar. Jinnit's still out there. So Jinnit is in a better spot because he can just sort of maintain that pace. He's not under pressure. He doesn't have to worry about traffic. Adri's gone to hards.
Wow. That must have been a mistake.
I don't think so.
Because he could have gone back to mediums if he wanted to, right? I mean,
no.
Because he started on mediums, went to hards. Maybe he doesn't have another set of mediums. I don't know.
No, well, you can't do medium, right? So.
Well, no, didn't he start on mediums, went to hards?
He just put hard a hard tire on. He was on the medium still when he pit.
Okay.
I think that's his first pit stop. I'm pretty sure that's his first pit stop.
Let's see. There is a way to get to the race director here. Let's see if I can figure that out. Race director. Oh, didn't hit the right button.
Brian with the fastest lap again, so he's starting to turn it up a bit. Now, here's the thing. Zem and Say really are not a threat to get in Jinnet's way. So Jinnet, if he pits and comes out on softs, we'll have clear air to go chase down Brian. So we are going to get a nice little scrap here at the end, at least at this stage. I kind of don't want to see a safety car. I want to see how this works out.
Yeah, me too. You were correct as far for Adri. He has only boxed once, so going to the hards was probably the only thing he could do. However, another couple laps, he might have been able to jump on the softs. Now, the thing is, too, everybody's tire wear is so different. So, you know, some of these guys probably are pushing already. And obviously, Jinnet is feeling very comfortable on these wheels, tires.
I think his pace is substantially dropped off here. It looks like
he's boxing.
Zem is closing. Yeah, I was going to say he must be pitting soon.
So he definitely got to be going to the softs. It'd be silly to have stayed out all that time and jump onto the hards. Yes, soft tires.
Yeah.
All right.
Now it's on. Here comes Brian around the final turn. This is Brian's race to lose at this point. He's got to find a way to keep Jinnet behind on a fresh set of soft tires. Jinnet, has he left the pits yet? He still has not crossed the line, so he's going to have a margin here. Yeah, Zem has no chance of getting
ahead of Jinnet. He's ahead of Zem.
I think the softs will fire up a lot quicker as well, so let's see where Jinnet is. Jinnet just trying to get things under control. 7 seconds in 11 laps. I would think the softs got to be a second a lap quicker than old hards, right?
I think so, but he's probably going to want to manage them somewhat.
Yeah,
you know, the last 2 or 3 laps.
We did see Joshua struggle. We did see Joshua struggle on about 8 to 9 laps in on those softs. He really did start falling off. So that is something to consider, though their fuel load is a lot less. He won't be putting as many Gs through the tires as he makes his way around the circuit.
True. Quaminator, the fast lap.
And at what point do the softs though lose that performance where the hards are actually a better tire? It's got to be 5-6 laps, right?
Yeah. Again, that's where it really depends on the guys' setups and how they're driving, how smooth they are, how intent they are on preserving their tires. Another thing to consider too is how many warnings do these guys have?
Yeah.
So
that's something you can check, I think.
Can I?
The race director. Yeah, you can check warnings.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see.
If you go to each driver, it should tell you any infractions that they've had. So Jinnet's taken about a second out of, about half a second out of Brian on the first lap on the softs, which you'd expect in the first 3 or 4 laps. Jinnet's going to take a lot of time out of Brian, but once the freshness of these softs wear off, that hard tire has to be, the medium easily went, 15, 16 laps. So you got to think the hard can go 25. So at what point is the hard losing a lot of its performance? I think that's got to be 15 laps.
Yeah, I'm not able to get... I apologize for that. I can't get to... I could see that they have warnings, but I cannot see how many. If I select the driver, I get to either go to the profile or report them. So
okay, it should be in race director. If you click on the driver themselves, it'll show you all their lap times, how many warnings
I would think so.
on each lap.
Yeah, race director. Oh, okay. Let me do it that way. You're right. Let me see a few lap times. Okay.
Jinnet now 6 seconds off Brian. Asylum with a penalty.
So where's Jinnet here?
We might get a Zamoclis podium here tonight. He's kind of quietly just settled into that, but I don't know if you've ever had a Zamoclis interview on the podium, but he is a wild man, so be prepared.
Nope, I have had chats with him, though, beer league and whatnot. I don't think Jinnit has even a warning.
That's impressive.
So, and I'm looking for Brian Scott here, and I don't see him here either. So both drivers are actually doing quite well.
Mm-hmm.
So Jinnit's made up, what, nearly 2.5 seconds in 3 laps, roughly?
Yep, I would say so. I think this is going to be the peak time. I think after 5 laps or so on those softs, they're not going to be this effective, but by then he will be up to Brian. So that's where it's going to get really interesting.
And so Brian has clear air as well, so that's good, but it also means he's not going to get DRS. So
yeah, and I'd imagine at this point Brian really doesn't have to do any tire management. He really needs to just be pushing full out, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, 10-lap old hards, not a problem.
So Puff's into the points now. He's still on 21-lap old hards. I'm guessing he's taking those right to the end. It's a decent recovery. I mean, he got wing damage on lap 1. I don't know whose fault that was, but considering he had to throw a wing on lap 1, if he gets a point out of this, I think he'll be... I'm sure he won't be happy, but I'm sure he'll be like, oh, at least I got something, you know?
Yeah.
The sharpshooter P5 is going to drop out, so... Actually, Puff technically is 9th. Rockstar will get a point as well right now.
So Adri's closing in on Asylum quite quickly here.
He is, yeah. Slightly fresher hard seems to be very effective.
Goodness, Jinnit has made up over a second, nearly a second and a half in that lap.
Mm-hmm. So here's the thing: 7 laps to go. Jinnit's 3.7 off Brian. At what point do those softs lose the second to lap advantage? Because right now Brian is kind of maintaining the interval at this point.
Yeah,
it's sort of stagnated.
I
don't know if that's a Jinnit taking a cool down or Brian pushing hard, or
I think it's sector 2. I think that's where Jinnit was losing it before. I think this is where he's going to regain that. I imagine Brian can't push as hard through the technical part here. You can easily spin if you're not careful.
Yeah. Comes Adri. Oh, sorry, Adri did get the move done. That was very sudden. Oh, Brian's had a moment.
Oh, Brian went around.
He was pushing so hard to try and keep Jinnit at bay. He's lost the lead. Jinnit now smooth sailing all the way home. He doesn't have to push at all. So Brian's had a huge moment here, and I think that we were talking about the interval. Why is it steady? Why is it stagnating? Is it Jinnit taking a break, or is it Brian, pushing? And I would say that we have our answer. Brian was definitely pushing very hard if he made an error out there on his own.
Yeah,
I don't think I've seen a mistake from him yet this season. So.
And where he had his moment, that is where...
Here comes Zem with DRS. He's going to be in big trouble here. I don't think Brian under braking is going to have the grip he had before with the hot tires. So Zamaglis now with a very legitimate chance at a P2 here. He's fighting for second place now. Brian basically has lost all opportunities for that win. He's really just fighting for dear life to hang on to P2 now. We've got another Red Bull off. It looks like that is RC once again.
And getting back to Brian and Jinnit, you were asking about the tires and at which point do they fall off, and I couldn't help but think, it's one thing, he can catch them, and what condition will his tires be in at that point? And then DRS, they would be swapping back and forth, because I don't think Jinnit could run away. So it would have been something I think that he would have probably had to have waited till the last lap or two before he made his move, if he in fact did catch him. But we'll never know now.
No, that's unfortunate. I'm actually really disappointed that Brian had a mistake, because I wanted to see that actually play out. At what point does Jinnit lose the performance, and does Brian have a chance to actually fight back? And robbed of it.
Yeah, and again, that sector 2, that double right-hander going up the hill. I mean, that happens there every race. Somebody spins there. I mean, it's inevitable.
Yeah.
Got to be so careful on the throttle. Hard tires. Yeah, so
RC's out. Oh, he's done that in the pits. Okay. So I was gonna say, could that be a safety car? But RC's just calling it a night. Fair enough. He's had a rough.
The right way. So Zem has fallen off. He's fallen out of DRS from Brian, so Brian could probably breathe a little easier now. He is actually making some inroads to Jinnit as well. However,
yeah,
at this
I think
point,
Jinnit's probably just backed right off.
Yeah, but you
need...
got to be careful. There's still 6 laps left.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, what you don't need... It looks like Puff's had an issue now. Oh, no, sorry, that was Williams.
Yeah,
that's
not
Puff.
Vinny Clip, maybe?
You know, yeah, I think so. It looks like we actually have quite a scrap going on here for... I guess it's for P9, once we have the reserve removed. But yeah, Puff, he's got Rockstar pressuring him for P9. And actually, Quaminator in a good position to pick up a point here, too, if he can get ahead of these two guys. So it's an interesting little battle. We do have some battles forming here for the final few laps. We'll keep an eye on those. Yeah, as you said, though, Brian making some inroads on Jinnit, but I would imagine Jinnit, after seeing what happened to Brian, kind of just backing right off. He's just going to make sure those softs get home, and he doesn't want to risk taking a spin or anything like that. So I think Brian was probably pushing like harder than he ever has in a league race, trying to do everything he can to keep that gap and make Jinnit work harder and hopefully use up those tires, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, it is all part of the strategy, really. Like Jinnit kind of had this plan in mind, and he executed it, and he put Brian under a tremendous amount of pressure, and Brian made a mistake. So it's just it's the way it goes sometimes in racing.
Oh, and Quaminator, he went around. Unfortunately, he was really starting to pressure Rockstar for position and a point.
Got a few battles going on here. Joshua now starting to close in on Sam. See, this is where Joshua shines. When the tires are falling off and guys are struggling for grip, Joshua finds a way to get that car around the track in a really comfortable manner. And he's really pressuring Sam now. He's all over him. Down into turn 1, side by side. Joshua on the inside, now the outside, and he gets it done. Great stuff from Joshua. Puff on 26-lap old hards. Putting in a hell of a performance here. He's holding off Rockstar. And he's getting a really good exit on the main straight still, and it's enough to keep Rockstar a fair distance behind. If I was Rockstar, I'd maybe consider a lunge with the extra grip he's got, but he needs to get a little closer to try that.
Worth noting, only 5 drivers with penalty.
Yeah, and we've only had 2 DNFs, and RC actually parked it. Beck crashed out on lap 1, which is, since in the main chunk of the race, we haven't really had a DNF. Beck might have, I think Beck got caught up in that turn 1 stuff, and then it made a mistake trying to get the cars back on the track, and it was very quick. So
yeah, Beck, if he didn't have bad luck, he wouldn't have any luck at all. Sorry to throw a cliche in there, but it seems like it happens to him too often.
Yeah, he's been definitely better this season. I think he's been a little more consistent this season, but tonight was like a classic Beck kind of race. It was that big spin early on, put him, oh my goodness, Sam onto the grass to try and make that move on Joshua. That's a Bottas and George Russell situation there. That was crazy. And I don't know if that would be looked at as leaving the track to gaining an advantage. I don't think putting your car in the grass would ever be considered gaining an advantage. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, Josh is he's like, not so quick, Sam.
Yeah. Puff's starting to gap Rockstar a bit now too, so nice job from him.
So, Zem now within DRS of Brian. same equal tires, basically same age, same
And
compound.
look at the pace of Jinnit. It really has fallen off here. So, had Brian not made that error, he actually might have had a fighting chance to just hang in there and make a move towards the end. But I imagine, at that moment where you're pushing that hard, it's hard to foresee that. You think, oh, I got to do everything I can to keep this guy away from me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really, I think that if that was his mentality, I think that was an error in judgment, because I feel that he could have held him off long enough that it would have gotten to that point where they would have been, DRS battles. Go ahead.
Someone's gone around. Is that Vinny again? Just looking at the gaps here. Looks like a Williams for it, maybe. Alpine. Was it Adri, maybe?
Adri's still
I don't
moving.
know who that was. It must have been Vinny. Yeah, it was. It was Vinny.
Yeah, I think, pretty much what we were thinking. It was going to be a battle in the last few laps, and unfortunately it didn't happen that way, but he can see Jinnit now. Last lap, 3.5 seconds. So Jinnit's just got to bring it home. 12 lap old.
Putting some pressure back on Sam again, and this is really the best shot Joshua's going to have to the checkered flag, so I think he needs to try to make that move now. Use that battery up to see if he can get it done.
And Rockstar, I think he might have Puff going down the front straight here if he could get a couple good exits.
He's very close. Check in on that. Puff on 29 lap old hards. That is a marathon, and man, he is just pushing Puff through the corner here. So Rockstar, as close as he's been, Puff harvesting, has no juice left in the tank, and here comes Rockstar down the inside. He should get this done. Doing a little wobble there. I don't think Puff would appreciate that much.
Yeah, I don't know what that was about.
I don't know if it was like a good battle, maybe. Maybe he's trying to just say, like, hey, good racing or whatever.
Yeah. That's the way
it can come across in a negative way, like, yeah, you sucker.
And look at
oh
this.
My goodness!
Yeah, I know it.
What happened?
We looked away.
What happened to Jinnit?
I think he really just backed off. I think. I mean, Oh! That was funny view there. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. Okay, so here's Sam harvesting. Joshua on his tail now. Yeah, I guess Jinnit maybe just backed off. I don't know why he'd risk doing that, though. What if he got a penalty or something,
Yeah. However, I didn't see any warnings, but...
I mean, even for anything, like maybe you bring someone off the track in turn 1 and gets a 5-second penalty now, and, you just don't know. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
I'm assuming he knew what he was doing, but I don't know. I prefer the guys just cross the line, not lift off and showboat like that either.
Yeah, I hope that wasn't what he was doing. I just have to feel 12 lap old softs.
Yeah, he could have made a mistake. I don't know.
I know from personal experience when I just wanted to get it home, and the commentators were saying, "What's going on with GP? It looks like he's." I forget if they said I was in slow motion or something, but I was just really being very, very careful because it's just too easy to spin out for me, and quite a few of these turns here. Obviously, Jinnit doesn't have that problem. He's quite fast.
Yeah.
But I would assume that going through that second sector, he really just made sure he got through without spinning and lost a lot of time, where Brian was probably really pushing.
Well, we get a Zimoglous podium. I mean, you're going to start with Zimoglous, so it's good that we have 15 minutes. Lots of time here, so let me get the. Actually, sorry, I just got to show the race results first, and then we'll get these guys in. I got a comment in here. GP should be a golf commentator.
Why is that?
I don't know. Maybe he's got a nice, calm voice for golf.
Okay.
Jinnit with the fastest lap as well, so that's a good points haul for Jinnit tonight.
Jeez, when did he get
Packer. I don't know.
I'm going to check that out right now.
When he first came out. Well, actually, yeah, I think it was his second lap on the softs. It was fairly early in that stint. So, Jinnit, Brian, Zamoglis, those are your top three. Let's show the order there.
It's not showing me. Oh, well. Jinnit did get a warning on lap 27. One warning for Jinnit.
All right. Get the interview guys in here. I'm going to go roll myself a treat while you do interviews. This time I'll mute myself so that people can't hear us. Ryan Scott. There's Jinnit. Sam. Good result for Sam. He had a really, really rough season 7. Like that's a hell of a result for him, getting a podium in the third race of the season here.
Yeah.
He's actually been really solid the last 2 weeks. He just had some bad luck. He got caught up in incidents, and tonight it didn't. Nothing happened, and he showed his true pace. So I'm gonna send these invites now. So once they get in here, you can take it away.
Sure.
There you go.
Turn the music off here. There we go. What was that, Janet? What's going on? Great race. Great race, guys. Who do we... Yeah, that sucked. All right, unfortunately, it doesn't appear as though Zem is going to join us, our third place finisher. There he is. See, it just took that little comment, and here he is, bullets and all. I didn't think you were going to show up. Congratulations, Zem. I'm going to start with you. Great race. Big and I were talking about how great result for you last year was pretty tough, and so podium tonight, awesome. How did you feel about how your race went for you, other than a good finish? Yeah, well, you certainly did that. You avoided trouble. What was your strategy for the race? Medium hard, that was the strategy right from the get-go. Now, no safety car tonight. How did... I think... I'll wait to ask Janet this, but... so, Zem, I forget your qualifying position, but I think you were closer to 10th than you were to 5th. Is that P6? Okay, my bad. All right, so you made up 3 positions. Do you feel like your qualifying lap was you did well enough, or you did the best you could on your quali, or do you feel like you left some time out there? Yeah, and so, so, all right. So I'll get back to Zem. I mean, we got plenty of time. Bigger wants us to be done by 9:30. I know Janet's got to go, so we'll get to Brian right now. Brian, congratulations. Hard luck there towards the end. You must have. What was going through your mind when you saw Janet staying out there on the mediums for so long? Yeah, and as we were watching the lap times and the gap, actually, the interval, that's where Janet was losing all his time to you after you boxed to the hards, was in sector 2, the technical part. Presumably, Janet was, being careful on the older mediums, and you were able to, once you got those hards to temp, you made up a lot of time, sometimes half a second in sector 2. So yeah, you didn't have the straight line speed, but you certainly had great pace going through the technical part. Is he still here? Okay. All right, so the tough question. We weren't. I didn't catch you on my stream, anyways. What happened going through that turn? Did you just get a little happy on the throttle, or just a different mistake, or just it snapped on you? Yeah, really unfortunate. We were totally enthralled with the battle, the strategy differences. We really were hoping that it would play out. It would have been a great battle at the finish. I think that I believe we believe Janet would have caught you. However, what condition would his tires be when he finally did catch you? And even if he did pass you, I didn't think that he would be able to really get too far away from you, and then the DRS would come into play. So we were looking forward to a really good finish. Unfortunately, that didn't pan out. But again, you recovered. Kudos to you for that, and a good second place finish. So congratulations. Yep. Mr. Jennett, how are you, buddy? Congratulations, of course. Great all-around race. You got the pole, and you led throughout up until you boxed, and then unfortunately for Brian, of course, you retook the lead when he spun. But so was your intent throughout to go on the mediums, or were you planning on starting on mediums and then hoping for a caution at some point? Describe what your thinking was, race strategy wise. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. So, how were your tires faring towards the end of the last 3, 4, 5 laps or so? Oh my God. Yeah. That was my feeling. I thought that, lap 22, so that you would have 10 laps on there, on the softs. I thought that that would have been, that's what I expected. I was surprised that you came in a little earlier. Yeah, I mean, 12 laps on those softs, I thought that was, however, I mean, everybody's tire wear is so different. But you made it work. Hmm. Yeah. Well, again, congratulations to all three of you guys. Great race, great stuff. We were really into the strategy differences and what could have unfolded. So you guys really gave us a thrill. The rest of the field was pretty much spread out quite a bit, so it was hard to really follow anybody where there were some really good battles. So I particularly, I stayed up front with you guys, and you guys made it very exciting. Oh God, I haven't seen the track yet. Good night, boys. See ya. No problem. What's See ya. You must be disappointed, Brian. That sigh sounds like a. Well, you're fast enough. The dice didn't roll your way this time. You just keep doing what you're doing, and the dice will definitely fall your way. Obviously, you've got the pace, so you're definitely going to be battling for at least, the podium every single week. And shit happens. Shit happens, and you just want to be. You don't want to be one of the drivers involved in that, and it'll come for sure. I I think everybody or a lot of guys know the feeling. Yeah, we were all over that. We were really it was gripping. We didn't want to leave even though you guys weren't nose to tail at that point. Like Big has said, the strategy difference was just so fascinating. It's like, wow, all right, how is this going to play out? So we're throwing back ideas how we think it's going to play. When is Janet going to box? How's this going to play out? You were really making good time. You were taking away, I think you made up like about 9 seconds on him, maybe a little more before he finally boxed. Yeah, we were. I mean, you watched the stream. We were disappointed that that happened to you. I'm not disappointed in you, obviously. We thought that it was going to be a great battle. Unfortunately, that turn there, that sequence of turns. I mean, that's just one of those things. Like you said, you never know. You can hit that thing the same way every time, and then the next time you hit it the same way, and something happens. It's one of those turns. Mm-hmm. Did you have any I mean, your strategy was obviously medium to hard. Did you give it any consideration to try to push the mediums to a point where you could jump onto the softs? Mm-hmm. We were talking about, the undercut, and I assumed that you felt that once you boxed, that within the next lap or two, that Janet would box and go to the hards. Is that what was going through your mind? Mm-hmm. Yeah, he got to the point of no return. he had to keep going at once you got to that point. Yeah, he had to push to get to the softs. Otherwise, it was a terrible mistake if he stayed out that much longer and then only to jump onto the hards. So. Um, right. Well, that's a bummer. Really is. However, you held your composure even after the spin, and you had to fight off Zimoglis he was like right on your ass. So again, good job keeping your wits about yourself. I know that it can get pretty frustrating. It sounds like you're pretty much pretty heartbroken that it happened that way. So again, I know in the heat of the moment, it's awful hard to maintain that focus when something like that happens. So great job. Great job. Oh. All right, Brian. I'm going to head out. Have a great night. Hopefully, maybe we hook up again on Bear League Friday night. All right, cool. All right, Brian, take care.